What is up, YouTube? It's your boy Alex here from AlexCFE, and today we have another deck profile. So today we are looking at something that is considered kind of very off meta, not a great deck at all, very, very cheap. It's kind of the point of this video over here. This deck, when I priced it out, actually came out to $52.97 or something like that, like right there. I have the screenshot of it. Maybe I'll post it in this video, I don't know, but I took a screenshot of it when I priced it all out. It is extremely cheap, and I think it's actually very, very decent for the price. It's not, you know, going to win every single regionals you go to or anything like that, but at the end of the day, I think if you are somebody who's more budget minded in this game and you want to actually play this, you know, I don't think that it's worth like the investing in the expensive cards for this. Like the marginal return that you get is not really worth it in my opinion. So this is pretty much quote unquote the optimal way to play if you're considering all these other factors. So thank you guys for tuning in. First off, I know I've been kind of absent with a lot of videos, things of that nature, but I am definitely back. I want to make videos. I want to keep doing this over here. So I've just had a big life event. My son was born and everything. So it's been a little bit of a kind of a journey as of late, and it's a little bit busy. But yeah, without further ado, let's hop right in. If you guys are interested in purchasing any of the cards you see here today, we do have a TCG player affiliate link down in the description below. Absolutely no cost to you. You can help support the channel. Thank you in advance for that. Never ask you guys for money, extra subscriptions, things like that. So this is definitely a way you can help support me. I definitely appreciate it. And if you guys aren't purchasing anything, a like on the video is absolutely great. Subscription to the channel would be even better. So thank you in advance for all of that good stuff. But let's hop right in. So for the budget build, actually, I'm going with the Virgilio ride line over here, the grade 1 and the grade 0. Now, a couple different reasons. First off, everything in this deck, we don't have cyclers, things like that, because they are expensive. It's just the nature of the game. Because of that, I think every card in this deck has like a place, and you don't really want to be discarding stuff. There's like one or two things, like sure, at certain times you can, but I think that the grade 1, making sure that you don't have to discard from your hand, is just like a nice little tempo play early. There's that rogue element. Again, your opponent might think you're playing Virgilio, things like that. I guess maybe make a different move because of it. But yeah, I just kind of like this. I like the way this one feels. If you guys want to stick with the standard verbal ride line, totally cool, totally go for it. This over here, this is actually a proxy. I forgot to purchase the grade 2 for this over here. I forgot to pick it up from locals and whatnot, but this is like the same effect pretty much. Over here, this is the in-theme grade 2 for the Wirbel, but basically just when ridden upon, it reduces your Wirbel Dragon's like counterblast cost by 1. So I did the next closest thing, just the proxy for the Gandiva one. You know, do not play this one in real life, play the real one, the verbal one. Lastly over here, Wirbel Dragon itself. So Wirbel Dragon is coming out of the last set, I believe. Super cheap. I know even the FFRs are like $8, $6. I almost picked them up for $6. Somebody bought them for me, but they're pretty cool. But this card is like 25 cents. It's honestly kind of crazy. It's like Overlord Jr. Like this is like baby's first Overlord. And I think if you position things in this deck kind of correctly, if you understand tempo, this is kind of a high pressure tempo deck. You have to know when to scale, when to actually apply pressure, when to kind of just farm. And if you have that mentality right, I think that this is actually a very, very decent deck for the price range, especially. I mean, you really, I don't think you can do better for budget around this kind of price range. At the beginning of our main phase over here, let's just go over its skill, energy charging 3. So you have tons of energy in this deck because you use a bunch. We'll go over it. Act on Vanguard Circle. You get to energy blast. What is this? 3 over here. Yep. You choose one card of your opponent's rear guards, retire it. If you didn't retire a card, you get 5k. And if your opponent is grade 3 or greater, it gets 10k instead of 5k. There are times where you want to actually retire. There are times where you want the 10k. I know it seems like oh, I always want the 5k. I always want the 10k. There's times, again, where like you want to have the tempo and you want to farm. You want to do things that will actually lend you a more kind of farming play style. And this will, you'll see it as we go through the profile, I'll kind of mention. But its last skill over here, Overlord Jr., auto on Vanguard Circle, and a battle's unit attack. If you energy blasted 6 or more times for the cost of the abilities, for this guy's cost, basically, you get to counterblast 1, stand this unit. It gets drive -2 until the end of turn. Soul blast 1, card with the same name as this unit, and then it gets drive +1. So a little bit of pressure with that extra drive if you soul blasted. There's no really extra things to soul tuck in necessarily, at least not in this build. I can't think of any off the top of my head really right now in the middle of recording this, but that's not kind of the way we're building this deck. We're recording it. I mean, we're building it to last the long game over here, and with that in mind, like you will be able to pretty much get your persona rides, draw enough to kind of see them, and I think that it is high pressure enough even without the drive check restand. I mean, think of Varga. Like this is kind of like Varga meets, I guess, Overlord in a way, but I really do like this art on here. I like that they kind of brought some of these like manga or anime promo. I don't know which one it was from, but it's kind of cool that they brought these to standard over here. Getting into the main deck now, over here we are going to be having 3 more copies of the Persona Ride. Obviously, you want to do it. You want to need to Soul Blast it for the skill, for the extra drive. On top of that, too, just Persona Ride is great. Get to draw more, get to have that 10k in your front row. You're already making really sweet numbers in general, but this just, again, amplifies it. Nothing really more to say about that. This is obviously standard. We have a pretty sweet order line up here. Now, this is kind of what I'm talking about with some of the farming and the pressure. So I'm actually having 3 of Drag Resonance right here, as well as 2 of Best Harvest. So when you think about it, you're retiring during the main phase, and your opponent the way that they might see counterplay to this deck is to flood their field, leave their field, let you just retire a bunch of stuff. And if that's the case, like, yeah, you start to not get a bunch of power, and like your restand kind of like becomes a wet noodle. In a way, who cares at that point? If you have Best Harvest, if you're retiring like 4 things on the field, there's ways to get like mass retire, which we'll go over. If you're retiring a bunch of stuff on the field, like, you're getting insane value out of that. Drag Resonance also just restanding, getting all your front row 10k. So again, that's your Vanguard. Why is my camera out of focus over there? Kind of weird. Maybe I need to clean the lens or something. But basically just plus 10k to the whole front row. The rear guards included is really nice. You know, you're not swinging rears first really in this deck. There's no really restand on the rears as of yet. I feel like this deck had like 1 or 2 that maybe did that. Like, making this a 5 attack would actually be really, really good overall. But yeah, running these for the pressure when you're ready to kind of counter your opponent and they're thinking they're counter playing you. You basically commit a Best Harvest. Hey, look, I'm getting a bunch of card draw off of your field. You thought you were kind of stopping my power. Drag Resonance to just give yourself a little more power, a little more oomph throughout. And again, that's kind of your kill and your pressure. That's why we're running the Drag Resonance at 3 of and the Best Harvest at 2 of. Next up here too, something that's kind of like an older support card for a different deck that actually works really well with this. This is going to be Dustin, Bullet of Duststorm Travis over here. Not Dustin, oh my god, I screwed up the Eugene cards. But you get to Soul Blast, once per turn, act on Vanguard Circle. If your opponent's rear guard gets retired during this turn, you can Counter Blast 1, Soul Charge 1, and then choose one of your opponent's rear guards, retire it. This guy gets an extra 10k. Retiring stuff, if you want to go for your Vanguard's power, if you know another rear guard retired stuff, boom, pop this down. Retire as well, and then all of a sudden your field is free. You can start using your Vanguard's skill to kind of give itself power and get that high pressure restand, that high pressure, you know, kind of just check. This over here also gets the 10k, making itself a really sweet kind of number, you know, 28k, 38k column on Persona Ride. With some stuff, it could be a little bit more, 43, or no, 41, 31 kind of on with a different unit boosting it. But overall, I think this is a really good card. This kind of just fits the mantra. You could use it kind of early too because of the Wirbel skill won't require a counter blast on your first ride up, which is pretty nice in general. Yeah, so 4 of him. Again, just a budget option that is kind of pretty good in this deck, just the way it feels. Next up here too, this is the in-theme support. This is going to be Drag Ritter Bishara. So Bishara, when this unit is placed on rear, you can get, if you have a grade 3, choose a grade 3 with Wirbel and its card name from your deck. From your ride deck, you may reveal it. If you don't, or if you just have the grade 3 on, basically you counter blast 1, choose one of your opponent's rear guards, retire it. If you did not retire a rear guard, draw a card. So drawing cards is really good in this game. This is part of our draw engine. You know, you don't use counter blast outside the Vanguard. I mean, you selectively use it. Like, it's definitely there. The card draw for a CB is kind of worth it, especially in a budget deck where you can kind of have that. I think it's personally worth it almost every time, but you know, use it sparingly, see when you can use it and you can't. This guy gets also 5k for every 3 energy that you paid for the cost of the actability of your Vanguard, so that is also just beefing this up. You know, you typically use it twice, so having it to another 20k unit, you know, 20k is kind of that magic that we're going for to hit that 28k boosted, or 30, 33, whatever, or 31, whatever the boost really is. So, you know, take it with a grain of salt. I think this is a decent card overall for in-theme support. As soon as we add some like in-theme counter charge, I feel like it's pretty good. Another card that is kind of expensive, and again, this is my total in the beginning, that 52.97. That was including these over here, so that is with these. And this is a good opportunity to kind of mention that if you are building budget and you want to kind of splurge on like 1 or 2 cards that maybe will transition over to other decks, I think this is a good way to do it. Like, this can be used in other things. It has been used in other strategies. It's kind of an older card. It's like a staple that's been around, so it doesn't really see a ton of meta play right now, but it is still like $7, something like that, around that kind of cost. But if you want to cut this, I'll show you what else to kind of bump up as well. But this is going to be 2 of Meteor Flare Dragon. I think this is important for it. When this guy's placed on rear until the end of turn, and your opponent's rear guard lose all of their continuous abilities, which is nice. So if they have a bunch of intercept stuff, shut that off. Cannot gain them. Also, you counter blast 1, choose one of your opponent's rear guards in the same column as this unit, and retire it. So retiring, again, just for a CB, it's kind of worth it if you have to do it. You know, if you want to have that high pressure Vanguard swing, like convert that CB into a retire, sure, especially if you have, what is it, Best Harvest kind of live as well. During your turn, also, if your opponent's Vanguard is grade 3 or greater and they have no rear guards, this guy gets 10k. Just, again, that sweet power gain that you have the ability to retire. This isn't 100% necessary, but I feel like it's one of the better cards to kind of gain power and to retire potentially, and has that cool little intercept thing too, so, or continuous skill removal. So yeah, kind of interesting for like very pesky matchups where, you know, their stuff is quote unquote untouchable. Let me just swap these around because it's easier to read the other one. But I'm actually running 2 of these guys, the Inscribing Bullet of Duststorm Baxter. So let me go over its skill and then I'll go over the point of it a little bit later. During the battle, this is attacked by your opponent's unit, not in the same column as unit. Cannot be hit. Kind of just weird, you know, just it has to be in the same column to hit it. Whatever, doesn't matter. The second skill, when your opponent's rear guard in the same column as this unit is retired during your turn, choose one of your Vanguards. That guy gets 5k until the end of turn. Early game, when your opponent is committing, they're rushing you down, things like that. Like, you have to start clearing their board like they're robbing you of value on your restand. What this guy does is kind of enable it, so you put them in a column opposite to your opponent's, stacked column. They double cold a column right next to it. Put them there. Your Vanguard still gets 10k, so that restand, hit a trigger, boom, you're still hitting like 33k on a blank swing, whatever. But this guy early game, even late game, I guess it kind of helps amplify numbers too. But I feel like early game, if your opponent thinks that they're getting around, also really good in combination with the best harvest overall. So basically, again, your opponent commits a board, you start popping stuff. Not only are you getting the card draw, but you're still getting some of the power over there. So kind of double-edged sword in that it doesn't do retire stuff, which the deck really wants to do, but at the same time gives you some of that necessary power. So I like it at 2 of. You can increase that if you don't want to pay for Meteor Flare. There's some other budget options too coming out of the new set. Maybe I'll, let's actually just look at that really quick. Hold on 1 second. Yeah, out of the new set, if you don't want to pay for Meteor Flare, something like this is like okay. During the battle, this guy attacked, grade 3 or greater unit. If this card in the same name as your Vanguard was put to drop from your Soldier's turn, it gets an extra 10k. You Soul Blast out the Wirbel over and all, like it gets the 10k. It's not super consistent, but just kind of peek through the card pool. It is what it is at that point. I think that the Meteor Flare is definitely worth it in my opinion. Next up, 1 Defensing Roar over here, just because it is limited to 1. I think it's still good on a deck that is budget. Anything that we can get to kind of survive through the late game. We're not running any other Blitz orders, any other Regalias pieces, things like that. So it's a really good budget way to kind of have a very powerful card that has been limited. Just running it at that maximum 1 of. Lastly, for our grade 2s, and again, I did price this out with this card in the deck. This is like $5-ish, $6-ish right here. Again, this is like purchase those staples for budget, like slowly at a time. All of a sudden you'll see your collection start to grow, and you'll see like, hey, look, I have a bunch of these like staples that I need for, they've become expensive or whatever the case is. This is a good opportunity right now to buy this. But this is a Drag Ritter, a Midgard. You are using Energy Blast, but you do have a lot in this deck. You basically remove something from the circle, gains a bunch of extra power. It is really good. It's an ace unit. I think that it's worth the splurge in this case, the extra $5 or whatever, and you're still coming into that $55 total, under that $55 total. Getting into the grade 1s, because this is budget, I'm just running 4 of the PGs. This is effect PGs. They're super cheap right now. I don't think that they're really not worth running the regular Stealth Dragon PGs, the old ones. If you don't want to buy these, if for whatever reason they're really expensive when you look at it, sure, go buy the other one. This effect comes up once in a while. It's worth it just to include, to maximize as much as we can. But again, if you can't, if you don't want to spend it, don't do that. Go get the other trial deck ones. Next up here too, we are looking at new in-theme support, and this is actually really good. I feel like if this was printed for other stuff, people would like it a lot. This is going to be Mass Bullets of Duststorm, or Avernus, something like that. Continues to have a grade 3 or greater with Wirbel in its card name. This card gets all the following. When this unit is placed on rear guard from hand, you energy charge 3. Cannot activate the act abilities of Energy Generator until the end of turn, so you can't do that like Energy Blast 7 and then go draw a card, which is actually pretty cool because by the time you do go up, if you have 2 of these in hand, I just want to mention, even if you're going first, you can be at 9 energy by the time you're on your grade 3. You can use that Energy Blast for the 7 for the draw. You can pop down 2 of these guys, and it's not like you don't want to really do that. You can still have enough to get off 2 additional Vanguard Energy Blast 3 skills, which is really cool. So you can get card draw, you can get the advantage of this. You just can't do it once this is placed down. So you have that 9, go down to 2, go up to back up to, what is that, 6 over there, 8. So yeah, you can at least Energy Blast like twice. And then for the next turn, you're fine because you're energy charging 3 off of the verbal skill plus the energy 3 from your turn in general. So you're not like missing a beat necessarily. So you never want to discard these. You always want to like kind of find these in general. I really like this guy. This guy pretty good. When this guy boosts, also gets 5k until the end of the battle. If that unit is boosting a grade 3 or greater with Wirbel in its card name, at the end of the battle, Soul Blast 1 and stand this unit. Just again, more pressure, 13k booster. Really just hitting sweet numbers. Again, Overlord Jr. kind of thing, Varga kind of aspect going on. It is pretty good. Speaking of Varga, and I guess, it's funny because I included the grade 2 from the ride line over here. I was actually using this card. This was a good budget alternative. Again, it's a little more expensive, but something that is good to just have in the repertoire. This over here is going to be Crimson Scale Sword. How do you say it? Maestro? Is this? Yeah, Maestro. Maestro Bernia, I think, something like that. I don't know. I can't read these things. At the end of the battle, this guy boosted. If any player's rear guard was retired this turn, bind this unit face down and draw a card. Now, you're kind of relying on your opponent's stuff being retired here. If you want to, also another good budget alternative for Meteor Flare is actually the Energy Blast Dragon that used to be run in Varga. It was reprinted in the Festival Collection. I don't know the name of it off the top of my head, but it's something dragon, and it basically retires itself. It pairs well with this card because it does retire. It doesn't require your opponent's thing, but your opponent's stuff are mainly always getting retired. I'm not really running into situations where I'm not seeing this guy as live. The reason you want to use this over the Restands Retire guy is that at the end of battle, this boosted, so you're swinging with your Vanguard first. typically. I mean, almost every single time. Because of that, you know, the timing for the restand would retire, and this guy wouldn't boost for the other dude. But this guy, when it boosts, it's getting that card draw, basically. So you're still getting the value out of it. You're still getting that card draw. And this is part of the whole farming thing. So imagine, you know, you pop down your energy generator, you energy blast 7, you have dust storm, oh god, what is it, best harvest, you have best harvest going on top of that you have this, like, you have a lot of card draw kind of going. Maybe you're grade 2, like, you have a lot of sneaky ways to get a card draw and really last the long game. This isn't like a high pressure card because it's not getting that 13k, but I think that the farming capability of this is just kind of worth it. So 4 of that guy, and that is it for the main deck, really. I don't think there's any other changes I personally would make at the moment. Again, I've kind of mentioned some of those other budget alternatives. Let's get into the trigger lineup over here. One of the Drag Veda, I think that it's cheap enough where we can afford it in here. You can play the Cray Elemental OT if you want to. Just giving power out to 2 different things is pretty good because you have a restanding Vanguard, but the way Wirbel is kind of worded is that at the end of battle, you get to choose to use this cost. You can counter blast 1, so it works with Drag Veda, just the timing is correct, so I think that it's worth it. It's definitely, you know, powerful enough. Because this is budget, again, we're not running the effect ones, but if you have the effect ones, you want to splurge for them, I think it's good. Otherwise, the 15k is good. You know, use this in combination with maybe defensing roar, things like that, kind of give it 25k instead of the 30k. Still pretty good. In every instance where you see the front, your front row should be standing, and in every single budget deck, unless the deck specifically says I need draws for this effect, always use fronts. It's just, a 5k shield is never going to cut it in this game. Just do not do that to yourself. 8 crit, again, crits are been reprinted a bunch. You know, I'm not saying these are particularly the cheapest ones, but you know, you can do 8 generic crits very easily, and then 4 regular plain old heals, and that is pretty much the deck. I think that this, like I said, I mentioned the ways that you kind of card draw, you kind of position yourself. I think the overall game plan is to really tell when it's time to go, in that, okay, I'm going to use Drag Resonance, I'm going to use all the, you know, pop all my energy blasts, try to get my Vanguard as powerful as possible, soul blast out, get that extra drive, just do everything in your power to kind of get to that point where you realize, okay, it's time to finish the game, because we are making pretty good numbers in this deck. We have the farming tools to kind of last to that point. Again, this is not like a meta stomper. You're not going to win every single game. Would I feel comfortable bringing this to locals? Like, absolutely, 100%. Regionals, maybe in a BSF format if you guys are trying to like a budget kind of tri-team thing. I think it's really good, but other than that, I think like locals or with my friends, things of that nature, you know, maybe even like a big local tournament or something, like it, you could actually do something with this. I don't think this is completely as dead in the water as a lot of people like to believe it is. It's tough, yeah, it's an uphill battle a lot of time, but I'm a sucker for bad, quote-unquote, bad decks. So with that being said, I wanted to build this, and I think this is something that I personally really like. If you guys want to, I'm going to leave a link down below also to a deck list of a super budget. I mean, it's like probably like 30 bucks altogether. There's going to be an alternative version. It's not as good, but it's using some of the nymph package. I played around with that. It's just timing with the counterblast stuff is a little weird. You don't draw quite as much. There's a little bit of deck thinning in there. There's different advantages, but I think this is the way better build for a little bit more. You're getting a whole lot more gameplay kind of power out of it. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys have any questions, let me know down below. Let me know your thoughts on the deck, and let me know what deck you want to see next. This is Alex from Alex CFD signing out.